Indians, baby. A real Indian, American Indian is me, not from Africa. Remember that.
White people are scared to death right now, particularly white males. They're scared to death that they are going to lose their power in the future. And they are.
All right, you two cutie pies. Let's see. Wait. Okay, you just told me that you ladies are sisters.
Yes.
You're the baby over here on the left that was bullying your big sister in the pink.
Yes, that's right.
Anyway, what's your name? Willa and Ellen. Now, tell me what you know about people my color, brown skinned, who were
indigenous people.
To where? To what land?
To America.
All right now.
States.
And you know that as a little girls, right?
Yes. Oh, yes.
All right. I just want to thank you both. Where did you say the Indians were from? Where you are?
We have Abenaki up in Vermont.
Okay.
And we have the Penobscot in Maine and the Mashantucket.
Yeah, okay. All right, ladies. Well, I want to thank you for that. It's just good to know. Because
I'm African Americans here, but they recently moved here from places like Kenya, Ethiopia, Zambia, Zimbabwe, and Zaire. But now the brother whose family's lived in this country for generations, occupying space in all the locations, New York, Miami, LA, Detroit, Chicago, even if he's wearing a dashiki and sporting an afro. And if you go to Africa in search of your race, you'll find out quick, you're not an African American. You're just a black American in Africa taking up space.
And we are not Africans. We are not African. Are you an African, baby? I'm not no African.
Time's been moving slowly, so we already in too deep. Can't get no sleep on each other, heavy teasing all day. And when the sun sets, you asking me to come through, kick it with you. Night turning to morning dew. Then you let's face it, baby, you know all the places. My place is your place. My place, your place, my place. Just face it, no one knows my places like you do. Your places like I do. My place like you do. Baby, don't stop. Got the key to the lock. We in our own zone. Make yourself at home. Get to know mine on the inside. Can meet at yours next.
Hey y'all.
Lose control. You don't wanna go slow. For sure. We both already know your place is my place. Now my place is your place. Let's face it, baby. You know all the places. My place is your place. No one knows my places like you do.
Hey, how y'all doing? Smash the like button, y'all. We gonna get it in today. Today is Wild Friday. It's going to be a wild Friday. And I'm going to make my statements because I have a right to my own opinion, just like everybody else. You know, and I want to hear your opinions too. Of course, I always invite y'all to the panel. So today, I'm gonna move away from um genealogy and our history. But, it's a touch of our history and a touch of our culture. So I'm not moving away from because it's part of community organizing and community building and making, you know, our young men and women strong in our communities at every cost. Seeing that they're passing so many laws that's freaking us out, things that we are not accustomed to. And, you know, uh, a lot of our youth and young men, y'all smash the like button. And even the shy ones watching, smash the like button. And if I had fallouts with you in the past, because of ugly things that went down, I can say, I forgive you and I hope you forgive me. How about that? I'm not too um, arrogant not to apologize for if I offended you in any real hardcore manner. I can apologize. It takes me a while sometimes when you love somebody and you really, really, truly, honestly do look up to people as, you know, role models and aunties when you're older than me and I confide in you and then I get hurt due to miscommunication or miss anything. I apologize for taking so long to let it go. So I can say this to you. I apologize and hope to be able to reestablish the great communication we had in the past, regardless to who you were or who you are. It took me a while because the pain was that great. And if you can forgive me, I can certainly, definitely forgive you. Seriously, I'm too old for that. It just takes me a little longer to heal, but I'm healed now. And I can say I love you because I don't want anything to happen to you and not say this, you know? So I'm clearing the record straight. If I offended you terribly in the past and we just been at neck and neck, I apologize because I don't want you to leave this world and I have not apologized. So I want to clear that on the record, and I'm saying it live on YouTube because now it's documented and it's official. So what I want to get in today is community building from a cultural perspective, psychological perspective, and a level of standards. Seriously, because again, like I said, there's so many laws being passed, unbelievable laws that we're not accustomed to, that we have to try and at least understand. And I'm speaking from a social worker perspective today. Some things we have to understand and we don't have to accept or respect. Okay. But we can stay silent and not say nothing. Seriously. I do believe in that. We don't have to accept or respect. And we can stay silent. Oh, I need to take this call, you guys. I'll be right back. I promise. I am so sorry. I apologize for that. I truly do. I apologize. But I had to take that call. When I get off of here, I'm going to transfer everyone to App Power's channel. I think Cuddy's not live, so I have nowhere else to transfer. So I go between both of them. Anyway, hey, y'all. Rodney, Enoch, Rich, Tom Jones. Salute. And salute to everybody watching. So yeah, I want to get back to community building. Now, a lot of people, whether they're in our community or in other zip codes, okay? Hey, Juan, a lot of times parents don't guide their children in a manner. We all know this. That's in every zip code. It doesn't matter, okay? It doesn't matter the zip code, the race, or not. It doesn't. But that's when people like myself that are older, a mom, a grandmom, however you put it, where we step in and help those children that are neglected in certain manners. And I'm going to talk about cults from a cult perspective and what to watch for. A lot of times, our parents don't teach us for certain things to watch for, especially when it comes to getting in relationships and making choices in life and how to maintain higher standards and how not to fall into low self-esteem. So that's when we step in to make the community strong, whether it's one of our brothers growing up in the community or our sisters. We got to help them be strong, because a lot of times our people are instill low self-esteem in certain parts, experiences, and in their lifetimes. And sometimes you can be in a community where your self-esteem gets diminished by people that are just, you have people out there who are skillful and crafty to lower your self-esteem, which causes you to live a lifestyle of low standards. And that comes from, that person that is the people who push out and who always exercise demeaning and demeaning people below themselves. They suffer. They are products of people that have suffered those things. And so what they do, they grow up in a lifestyle where they can't accept women whose standards are just as high as theirs. So they begin to practice the cycle of abuse, because that's exactly what it is. Cycle of abuse. Cycle of abuse is when someone continuously downgrade you and make you inferior to them so that they can control you. And that happens. It definitely happens in relationships and everything. So our job in our community, and part of Waya's, service back to the community when it comes to psychological and psychiatric support, is something that I, strongly, encourage and I exercise, because I'm a woman. I was a young woman. I was a kid. I was a teenager. I became an adult. I experienced different parts of my life. Now I'm a mom. I'm a grandma, and I want to make sure that I push off what made me strong, because I've been through those attempts. I've experienced those attempts in life, but I was very strong, very strong. You know, I didn't allow anyone to lower my standards. I was strong. Some of us are just not. But as sisters and brothers, we can make each other strong by encouragement and getting them to see things outside of what they've been exposed to. We are in a position where we can show them a better side that will allow them to make better choices. So I'm going to start right here. And I'm going to start right now. And here's what I'm going to say to people who get upset when I am lecturing to all communities in all zip codes. This is my opinion. This is my way to help strengthen people who have become weak or who have been raised to be weak. And there's a lot of ways that that's done. And here's what I say to you. I'm going to invite you to speak to me if you're a person in that position and you're quite comfortable with it, because number one, you are an adult and you can make your own choices. I get that. That's right. But sometimes people are dragged into it. A life that they really don't want to be in, but they don't feel they have better options in life. I'm out to help that person that has that thought in their head and they don't know how to get out of it because they've been indoctrinated to believe something else. Okay? And if you got a problem with me saying this, you can step to the piano if you got smoke. I'm always willing to take smoke. I love to take smoke because number one, I love to argue. I'm very argumentative and I'm very opinionated. I'm not even going to lie about that. That's just me. And that comes from keeping myself strong. So I'm going to start. I'm going to start right here. Smash the like button. And I don't mind you coming up speaking to me. We're all entitled to our own opinions and beliefs. Okay? So maybe I'll start off telling my story of my experience, and then I'll go into how I got out of it and how it just didn't destroy me. It just made me stronger and more conscientious. Okay? So we have people in this world that are raised in cults. Some people are born into cults, like cult lifestyles. And I get that. But what happens, just like when you're indoctrinated, when you're raised into a cult lifestyle and you live it throughout your life, it's because you've learned and you've become accustomed, and you've always been accustomed to believe that there's nothing wrong with it, that it's okay to be the way you are, and the decisions you make, it's okay. That's when you're raised into a cult lifestyle. And this includes religion too. Okay? It does. Religion is cult, whether you want to believe it or not. All religion is cult. It really is. And I'm not saying that to be negative. Any religion you're in is a cult life because it's a customary way of and choice of how you live. And okay, that's cool. But you always have to remember one thing. You're a being, you're a soul, and you have feelings. And your feelings are, you've been so indoctrinated that your feelings, when you have certain feelings, it could make you feel like you're sinning based on how or what cult you're in. And you'll become to believe that, oh, that's a sinful way to think because it's not you getting this feeling, but you weren't trained or taught that these feelings that you get are real, whether they're, especially if you're tired and you just not happy. Okay. I'm going to say that. That's with any religion you're in, even if it's not. I'm not saying that the religion is a cult. It is a church. Doesn't always have, you don't always have to be a member of a church or a temple or a synagogue. You could just be in a relationship. Okay. That's a way of life. All right. So I'm going to go there. I was young and I was a kid and I grew up and finally got out from under my mom and dad's wing, when I graduated from high school. I was like, oof, I'm so glad to be out. My parents were strict. I got my ass whooped. Okay. I did when I disobeyed them, but I didn't care. I was tough. I got so many ass whoopings that I was accustomed to getting them and they didn't bother me no more. I got to the point where my parents gave me choices. Either you're gonna let me take an ass whooping or you're gonna be on punishment. I always went for the ass whooping because I knew that would go away immediately. I shed a few tears and it's over, and I can go outside. I always took the ass whooping. Straight up, that was me. No, don't put me on punishment. I had to be outside. So I much rather take the ass whooping. Please, thank you, Mom. The ass whooping wasn't no joke, but I took it. But I wasn't on punishment. I stayed on punishment though, because after that, my parents saw that this little wench, I go whoop her ass, and she don't even care. So then they reverted that shit to punishment. Oh man, that was brutal. It was brutal. Spending whole summers in the house and shit. I'm like, damn. But me, hardhead, my only way out the door was to go to the store to get a gallon of milk. And I knew my ass was on punishment for the whole summer. So why would you send me to the store, Ma? Why would you send me to the store? You know I'm not coming back for 5 hours with your gallon of milk. I mean, I bought that milk, sat it in Betty Jean refrigerator, and I ain't coming back home for 5 hours. For real, that was me. Yep. But I wasn't wild. I just wanted to be outside playing with my friends. So I grew up and I got out. And, I always liked boys. That was just me. Always with the boys. And I always was with the boys. I couldn't help it. That's a problem. Love guys, love dudes. And, I grew up to be a woman and I began to travel to different states, meeting people. And, I bumped into men because when I was a young woman, like my teens, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, I was about dressing. Now I just wear my Nana clothes. I was about dressing and I was not playing. I wanted my gold chains. I wanted my gold earrings. And I was wearing something new every fucking time I went out the door. This is me, single, no kids, own apartment, working. And I shopped. Every week I had a new outfit on. If I went to the club Friday, Saturday, and Sunday and Wednesday night, I had on a new outfit. I wanted to be cute. That was me. I had to be fly. Because I had a job and I was buying my own shit, my own clothes. That was straight up very late 80s, all of the goddamn 90s. I was just fine. I was fly. And you couldn't tell me shit. I ain't think my shit stank. But I met dudes, as a young woman, because I was always so fly and I had to be fly when I was in the club. I had to be fly. And I met men, and a lot of them felt that they needed to tame me down. And that's because me being single, no kids, and independent, had my own place. A lot of the niggas that was in my community, they didn't have their own place. They was living at home with mama or with some other chick. A lot of them just did not have their own place. That's my hood community. And across wherever the hell I went, a lot of them lived with somebody, a lot of men. So me being very self-sufficient, young woman and working, I always, when I met dudes, okay, and I just would not date outside of my community. I didn't give a damn. I was a corporate girl working young, very young, and I refused to date outside my community. I was getting me a Pookie or a Ray Ray, and I wasn't settling for none. But I found that being with them, and because I was so self-sufficient, that they always had to tame me down, put me in an inferior position in a relationship where I had to be down. And they wanted to put me in a position where I needed them. And I never went for that because being a young kid, I was poor as a kid. My family was poor. And I'm from the hood. You're talking in the late 70s. And I always said when I grow up to to get my own job, I'm gonna always have clothes. And I'm always gonna have clothes. And I'm never gonna be without clothes. So when I grew up and became a woman, all the fuck I did was shop. If I seen an outfit, and I know I didn't have no kids, I was making this money in corporate and I was young, but I was educated. And I always had money because I always had a fucking job. And I didn't have nothing to do with my money. I have no bills or nothing. But just my rent regular. But I still had a lot of money left over. Back in the late 80s, making $20,000 was a lot of money for a single woman. And that's how I was rocking it. 20, 25,000 back in the late 80s. And that was a lot of money to have back then. So all I did after I paid my bills was shop and buy food and cook and everything. So I did my life wasn't where I needed like Pookie and Ray Ray to help me get over the hump. So I always spent a life where they felt that they had to put me down as a woman because they needed me to be in a position where I needed them for help constantly. And I just wasn't the girl that I'll say that was all right, one night stand, I give you $150 or whatever, and you go get you some gold earrings. I wasn't that girl. And I'm not saying that I was boule and all that and all this shit. No, I wasn't that type of woman. To think that I was better than anybody, because I always wanted to be with my community. Always wanted to be with the people in my community because that's what I'm accustomed to. But I wasn't the girl where you could let her, get her some gold earrings after she gave you some booty and say you'll see her tomorrow. No, I wasn't that kind of girl. But I had a lot of girlfriends who were. And it was sad to see. A lot of my girlfriends had a kid. I was not having no kids, yo. And so I always had a hard time with brothers because they always needed to put me in a position, figure out some kind of subtle way to put me in a position where I needed them. And that's how it was in my hood. You had to need Pookie and Ray Ray in order to get them because they needed to control you. That was the only way they was going to stick with you and call you their main baby, their boo, is they had to be able to control you. And I wasn't the type of girl that could be controlled. Okay. I just spent my life controlled by my parents and being my ass on punishment. Now I got a dude that want to control me. And I wasn't going for that shit. I just didn't go for it. So I end up, in and out of a lot of relationships. I didn't sleep with all of them, but I was like, oh, this ain't going to work. because I could not submit. And that's something I still, have a difficulty with. I have to be independent. So that being said, there's a lot of women my age and younger. Well, my age is different. I'm going to tell you what happened when they got my age. There's a lot of women born in the 90s. I have to say, the 90s is just a number because I just feel like that was the generation where a lot of fuck shit was going on and waiting for our 90s babies to pop up. And I mean, in the 90s, a lot of women that were born, they're probably 30 years old, between 30 and 35 now, those babies. A lot of them young girls are used for sex trafficking by Pookies. And when I say sex trafficking, I mean sex trafficking, because Pookie and Ray Ray are pimps. They got niggas in other states. It does not matter what their race is, where they making appointments with very wealthy white men, okay, that is looking for some good sex for money, and they pay top dollars for it. And you getting a G if you bring him a girl that he could do just about anything you want to him in the bed. So a lot of our young women in that age bracket, those 90s babies, I call them, are taking on that role under Pookie's guidance and security. So Pookie's getting a little cut out the deal if he's bringing you to another state or somebody's house. He's getting anywhere between $1,000 to $1,500. Okay, and Pookie gonna take his cut off the top 500, and the chick gonna get a G. And that's a lot of what's going on with a lot of these young girls born in the 90s. Okay, a lot of them. It's a lot of money involved in that. It's prostitution. They call it human trafficking now. That's the new term for it, but it's really call girl. And some women are independent on their own and don't use Pookie, and they make mad money doing that without the guidance of Pookie, because a lot of these women can fight and they will shoot your ass if you don't give them their money after they gave you your play. You got dumb too. But for the most part, a lot of Pookies have all the connections because they're the same people that Pookie sell drugs to that are big time businessmen, whether they're white, black, a police officer, any position, a fireman, it could be any job. Pookie got to connect to make that money. Why is somebody in a position as a fireman or a police officer or a corporate businessman that owns many companies need to buy pussy is beyond me. Why they need a middleman. A lot of them, these business, corporate white men or whatever, want to experience what they always thought about experiencing. A lot of corporate white men have always wanted to experience sex with a black woman, and then they get it and they want it forever because it's nothing like they had in their own community. So the deal is he pays Pookie to bring her back or a side deal with her, and then she got her customer. A lot of that shit is going on. Okay. So then you grow up from that 90s baby and you get my age. Okay. And women my age have become the pimps to the 90s babies, because this shit was done when I was hanging out in the clubs in the 90s, women my age in the 90s was doing this for Pookie. Yeah. Making mad money and they're becoming madams. By the time they get my age, they're now madams. And they know how to pimp these girls to these businessmen. That's been the life of our community for many, many years. You can find old newspaper articles from madams. I know it. This to be very true because it happens in my family. One of the oldest aunts, third generation aunts, born in the 20s, okay, 1800s, 20s. That's what she did. That was her job. She was a madam. And she pimped out women in the family. You know, it was a family thing. Yeah. And now when you have these conversations with your aunts and great aunts, and they tell you why they don't deal with this particular aunt, third, fourth generation aunt's family, is because she was a madam and she would pimp out her cousins and everybody. That was the way they made money because they no longer wanted to work on the farm and they found another way to do it. I mean, they got the same thing in Texas whole houses and stuff, but this is from the South. So again, back to our era, of course, women my age are now the pimps. They're pimps. And they pimp young women from the 90s that are walking around to the customers they had back in the day. And this shit continuously repeats itself. And then you have men who are in cult religions that, I don't know how the fuck they do it. They're just subtle, sneaky as hell, and sly, and they know exactly what to say to you that influence you to get in a polygamous marriage, which is crazy. A lot of young girls from the 90s are in polygamous marriages. They're married to one dude, 3 and 4, 5 women married to one dude. All right. Now, that's a lifestyle. It's always been practiced. You remember the Mormons did it, and they still do today. Well, they say that they don't do it anymore, but I don't believe shit. But having more than one wife is seem to be a very comfortable thing with those babies born in the 90s. Those 90s babies, they're very comfortable with it. Very comfortable with it. I'm not saying all babies in the 90s are comfortable with this lifestyle. I am not saying that. Please don't take it individually personal. I'm just saying that I find that a lot of young women born in the 90s are in these polygamous relationships and marriages. And sometimes they're not married. Sometimes, the husband and wife, you have a husband and wife, and the wife pick another side chick that move in with them. It's all about moving in and surviving in this world financially. So they've managed to recruit like 5 women to move in. All of them are the wife or girlfriend or whatever to this one dude. And some people are also born into that lifestyle. You have a lot of babies in the 90s that are born into that lifestyle. Okay? Because their mama was a wife of one of 5 wives to one man. So they're accustomed. And they think it's okay because they were born into that type of lifestyle. My role is like when you have those feelings and those thoughts that you don't want to have multiple women sharing a man. That's a real thought. I want you to know that. It's okay to think that this shit ain't right. I ain't comfortable. I like living up all in front of all these bitches. It's okay to think like that because guess what? It's not right. It's not right. It's a cult life. And you do not have to live that life. You do not have to lower your standards to feel where you have to share one man with 5 other fucking women. That's insane. I'm telling you, this is my personal opinion about that. There is no way a nigga could drag me to share him with 5, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 other women. The life I live is not a cult. It's just natural. I feel it's natural. I'm used to my freedom, and I don't think it's healthy. I don't think it's healthy at all. Some people think it is. There's no way I'm gonna drag myself to, down to the point where I need to share a man with other women. I'm not doing it. I never stood for it, and I'm not going to. And guess what? You don't have to either. You don't. You do not have to live like that. There are more options out there. You just have to raise your standards. And you raise your standards. The first step to raising your standards is getting out of that shit because it's not healthy at all. I'm telling you, it's not healthy. And I'm not telling you to go to church and join some women's club and all that shit. I'm speaking about you, the individual. If you're not happy in that shit, get the fuck out. It's crazy. It's not healthy. If it doesn't feel not right, then that means it's not natural. Really, it's not going with your energy. It's not good. I'm telling you to get out. A lot of women from the 90s standards are so low that it's painful. They feel like if they have more than one baby, they ain't never going to get no man. So the best thing to do is share one. And on the flip side, for the man, it's the same thing. There's a lot of single brown men that work, that are truck drivers whose wives left them because of their employment of being a truck driver, driving to different states and not being home. But the money's coming home. They're just not. And that's sad. Then you have, and it's really sad. And I tell that man and that brother, you ain't got to suffer that. There is a woman out there that would love to wait for you to come home from your week truck trip and be with you as a husband or and will wait for you to come home because they know that that's your profession and that you're just trying to be the head of the house and take care of all the bills so that that woman is happy. There's some women that are just nasty and don't deserve you because they don't respect your profession. Then you have the guy that comes in your life that wants to use you. He looks for girls who have good credit so he can use their credit because he can't get shit with his credit. You got that. Oh yeah, all kinds of shit. Hang on, let me fix this damn chair. This chair got a mind of its own. It locks, unlocks. You have men out there who are very handsome man, but he only has a certain type of woman that he will pick. He goes for it. And I'm talking about a fine Pookie man, but he will only pick a certain kind of woman. And they go for the women that have low self-esteem. Really. They go for the women that have very low self-esteem who never thought they were pretty, no matter what they did. They just didn't feel pretty. And because he's so handsome and everybody wants him, that they will bow down and do anything he wants them to do. And that's bad, and it's sad, and it's painful. And I've been around women. I'm around women all the time like that. They don't see their beauty, and neither does he. And they feel nobody else sees their beauty because beauty is inside, and they can't see their beauty because society says you got to look like this and you got to look like that in order to be pretty. They're talking about they don't understand that beauty is within. And so they don't think they're pretty. They don't think their hair is right. They don't think they got to just do all kinds of things to make themselves look pretty. And no matter what they do, they're not pretty. So they stay in that mode because they always want to look like Beyonce and Little Kim and all these other women. And so they pain inside because that's what society sees as being fine. You know? And those are unfortunately the sisters and brothers too, suffer this shit too. They see a pretty woman, like I just use Beyonce and Rihanna because they're just beautiful, period, point blank. That's what society say, they're beautiful. And they'll do everything just to get that woman. And that woman abuses them because that woman knows that he admires her and she can sucker him out of everything. So you have some fucked up women that don't see a man's beauty. And they stick with that woman no matter what she does to him. Even if they sleep around on him, he still stays with her because he's so in love with her. And he doesn't feel he'll ever be able to get anybody like that. So the shit switches. But I'm here to tell you, and I'm keeping this shit very real. You don't have to lower your standards to be in a cult relationship with anybody. There is somebody out there. The minute you raise your standards, you begin to meet nicer men and nicer women for you brothers. You have to raise your standards. I've seen niggas from New York that are in these cult Hebrew Israelite religion. And they always have more than 1 to 2 wives. And what they do to these young, vulnerable women born in the 90s is get them pregnant, get a bunch of them pregnant, and they all live in the same apartment. Okay. And they rob the system. You got 3 wives or 4 wives living in one apartment. Each one of them got a kid. So you have a lot of food stamps. You really don't need no fucking money because you're getting all the food stamps. That's a lot of food stamps. You're getting almost $3,000 to $4,000 a month in food stamps. And then the wives are working. The guy stays home, babysit the kids, or they'll hire somebody, bring somebody there to watch the kids, or they work, but they shift change. The wives, they work different shifts at Walmart or wherever. So they don't need a babysitter. So the rent's paid, everything in there. They're in that relationship, and they all want the same man. They're all in love with the same man. And it becomes a problem because he really cannot accommodate all of them. And they begin to feel like some type of way. But because of the religion they're indoctrinated in, the Hebrew Israelite, they feel like they're sinful for thinking that way of their husband. Because they always tell you, in the Hebrews always tell you, the women spoke against Moses, they were cursed. So that's what they teach and drill. And these women, do not speak against your husband because you'll be cursed. And they really believe that. And I for the life of me, I just always pray that they get the fuck out of that polygamous relationship. And some just don't. Some are still there from when I went to study Hebrew Israelite back in the early 90s as a young woman. I was very young. I was like 23. But I wasn't fooled by them niggas because I didn't play with them. They kicked my black ass out. The Hebrew Israelites, and I'm saying it was Israeli Church of Universal Practical Knowledge, 125th Street, Madison Avenue. Buildings condemned now. Al Sharpton church was on the second floor, and the Hebrew Israelites was up on the third floor. So, I'm not lying. And it was terrible, but I was just one that they couldn't swindle. They couldn't control me. And they gave me so many chances till they kicked my ass out. And I wanted them to kick me out because I told you I did dumb shit to get kicked out. I was like, I like the teachings because it really taught me to look at the Bible from a different perspective because I was indoctrinated in the Bible. Okay. And they taught me to read it and comprehend it and from a different perspective, and appointed all the characters in the Bible as being us. So I really learned their method of studying the Bible. And they are good teachers when it comes to the Bible. I'm not going to take that from them. But they use that as a weapon towards people and women. It didn't matter what your race was. They used it towards their wives, multiple wives. They used it as a tool. So they are no better than Ruth Ginsburg and the Pope by doctrine of discovery. When you discover a wife, you get many. Fuck that. I wasn't that chick. They kicked my ass out. They was probably gonna have to fight me because they will fight a woman. But I was always ready because I wasn't no little timid punk. What you would call a punk, for real. So they wanted me to stay, but I just gave them so much hell that they finally kicked my ass out. I wanted them to, because if you didn't get them to kick you out, they would use you. Like if anything happened to you, they take out insurance policies on their members. They do, and some of them die, and that's how they get the money. But they were infiltrated by the FBI, which I'm glad, but that didn't help because more of the motherfuckers done jumped up. They got so many levels of Israelite organizations that is crazy. They got Hebrew Israelite organizations created, cult groups created where they hate the white man, you're a devil, all this shit on the street. Then they got another group on the other block where black women are the devil and you must marry a white woman. This shit is crazy, yo. They done went off the cuckoo nest. And I'm like, wait a minute, down the street, they said the white woman's a pig and the white man's a devil. Now I'm on another block, dudes dressed in the same fucking clothes, but got a revelation in the Bible that says, Adam was a black man and Eve was white. It's some crazy shit. These niggas are off the chain. So I personally want to give those women some motivation. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. You don't have to stay in polygamous relationships. If you're if you're grown and you're happy with it, ain't nothing I could do. You're a grown woman and grown man. You do what the hell you want. But for those that sit back and have low self-esteem, and you have those feelings, like you want to get out of it, but you're scared to get out of it because your esteem is so low. Let me tell you something, them feelings are normal. And my highest suggestion is get the fuck out. If you done had a baby by the bastard, get your baby and go to a shelter until you get yourself on your feet. That's the beginning of raising your standards. And I don't care if a motherfucker that's in a polygamous relationship don't like it. You could step to the panel. I'm ready for the smoke. Because remember, you have your own personal opinion. And look, I respect you if you're happy and content in it. That's you. That's your life. That's your thing. I'm speaking to the ones that are sitting back with low self-esteem and don't know how to get out because they're scared of some religious mumbo jumbo shit. I'm telling you, the feelings you have is very real. Get the fuck out. That's why they have domestic violence shelters for women in these situations. Those domestic violence shelters are not just for women that are abused by their husband, because physically abused by their husbands. Those shelters are for women who have been also suffered the cycle of abuse. The cycle of abuse does not always have to be physical. It can be mental. Very much so. And that's what those domestic violence shelters are for you to get out. When that bitch leave out the door, take your baby and be gone. And don't look back. I'm telling you, when you do that, it is not that you're going to be cursed and all that shit. I'm telling you what it is. That's the beginning of getting out of the cycle of abuse. And it's the beginning of raising your standards. So that's my message for today. I am going to open the panel early because I'm very willing to hear from people. And I would love to dialogue with people about relationship with people. Seriously, because these motherfuckers are out here. And, they do that shit in quite a few cultures. In some Muslim religions, they do have more than one wife. I ain't being nobody's two wives. Fuck that. My own personal opinion, and I got a right to exercise it just like you got a right to come and exercise and defend the lifestyle that you're living. Like I said again, if you're living that lifestyle, that's your business. May you rock on. But I'm speaking to the people that have heart, that have second thoughts. So my personal opinion, and it's the way I see shit. Okay. I see it like ain't no dick on the planet that motherfucking good to make me want to share a man. I don't even play with myself. That shit's corny. So if I don't get it, I don't get the ding ding. I just don't get it. But sorry, I ain't never been without it. But I'm sorry. There's just no dick on the planet that good to the point where I need to share it with 5 different women. Fuck you. Sorry, you're not king of the ding dings. Nope, you're not. There's always better dick on the planet. Facts. So I'm going to relinquish my mic for a minute, play a song, and hope somebody's brave enough to hit the panel, because this is a topic. There's the link. You can hit the link, or may you ever or forever, ever, ever hold your peace, because you got to have self-love, y'all.
Yeah.
Don't be scared.
Conscious. Matic. Alright, so far away I come from. I sit and wonder about the times that it made sense. But nowadays, I don't worry about what's past tense. My younger days, I used to hang around with mad friends. If we just fell out, I don't really know what happened. A lot of people come around and keep you stagnant, distraction. So yeah, don't show them no compassion. We was really out here grinding, really rapping, stacking them Franklins, them Grants, and them Jacksons. Imagine if we would've never chased our passion. We probably would've never knew what happened. They was all just talk, we showed action. Once they leave, don't you let them back in. Just pack up all their stuff and send them packing. I'm blacking on anybody thinking they could act up with me. This vibe ain't for free, cause where I'm at in life, I'm only focused on me. Note the self, know yourself, focus on your health. They don't wanna help, then fuck it, do it by yourself. Don't give them no excuse to put you on the shelf. If it's me, myself, and I, then it's no one else. Yeah, self-love is the best love. It's the people who always give that never get love. They ain't real enough to probably say they messed up. Just let it go and make the best of it. Yeah, self-love is the best love. It's the people who always give that never get love. They ain't real enough to probably say they messed up. Just let it go and make the best of it. Love yourself.
Yeah, practice what you preaching, but clearly they not practicing entitlement and pride. Yeah, those two things they factor in. Spiral out of control just from all the bantering. When they accustomed to talking behind your back with all that chattering. I remove myself before I abuse myself. Talk about self-love, but you gotta do it yourself. Yeah, I won't act too good for no help. We all healing now. Said some things about me that ain't true. How you feeling now? Even at my lowest, they tried to find a way to bring me down. Big y'all up for years, ain't talking just the brand or the sound. I don't throw things around, I do it from the heart proud. Mama just wanna see her sunshine, removing them dark clouds.
Yeah, self-love is the best love. It's the people who always give that never get love. They ain't real enough to probably say they messed up. Just let it go and make the best of it. Yeah, self-love is the best love. It's the people who always give that never get love. They ain't real enough to probably say they messed up. Just let it go and make the best of it. Love yourself.
Oh yeah, self-love is the best love. You better believe that to the core of your being. The beginning of raising your standards is self-love. And that's a fact. That's why I always play that song, because he speaks some real shit, even though he talking about hustling and making them Benjamins, Franklins, and all that other stuff. Self-love is the beginning of raising your standards. You got to fall in love with yourself. You do. Because just in case somebody else don't, one thing you have to always remember is to fall in love with yourself. When you fall in, you got to fall in love with yourself. That's your code. You got to be on code with yourself, because if nobody else don't fall in love with you, guess what? You're in love with yourself. You have to be in love with yourself. Being in love with yourself keeps you strong. And you always have to remember that. And it keeps your standards up. That's the beginning of healing from anything. You got to fall in love with yourself. Self-love is the best love. And that's a fact. And I'm tired of seeing our women step down so low where they think that it's okay to be in a cult when they don't have to be, because they think nobody else won't love them. If you love yourself first, you ain't going to have to worry about nobody falling in love with you. Because once you love yourself and you're in love with yourself, people going to love the same thing you love. You know how motherfuckers always want what you got? They always want what you got. Well, guess what? When you got love for yourself, that's what motherfuckers gonna want. They gonna want your love. If you don't got love for yourself, they're not gonna want you. They want to be in love with exactly who you in love with. That's the way life is. Chicks always falling in love with somebody you got. But when you fall in love with yourself, the man is going to fall in love with you because he want what you got. And what you got is love for yourself. And that's a fact. Same thing for men that are burnt down by hurt. When you fall in love with yourself, that's where the confidence come in. That's when your standards are raised. And when you fall in love with yourself, the woman's gonna fall in love with you too, because she want the same thing you got. She want the love you got for yourself. And that's a fact. Some people don't have the balls to come up here and speak about this kind of stuff. I'm not ashamed. I told you my story, but I just didn't go for it. Because I thought I was cute any fucking way. And you couldn't tell me shit. Now, there's been a lot of times that my little ass got checked at the door. I can't even sit up here and lie. But you learn. You live and you learn. But what I can say is this. I'm in my 50s, and I would never, ever stoop to the level of pimping my sisters. Listen, you got madams my age that not only pimp women, they pimp men too. And I'm not saying pimping men to other men, pimping men to women. There's women in powerful positions that want some good pee-pee. And madam women know the connection. She know all the women that want some good pee-pee. I can tell you this. That would never even come as a thought in my brain to do to my people. I've seen so much ugly in the 70s. My uncles wasn't shit. They are dead. They was pimping women, and I just didn't understand that as a little girl. I was only 12 years old, knowing that my uncle was going on the corner with his kids' mothers, pimping them to get some dope. That's what I watched growing up as a kid in the 70s in my hood. And I knew that that's what was being done because she would come home stinking and have to take a quick shower. So I seen a lot as a kid in my hood. I seen my aunts and uncles shoot up dope, and the heroin needle was still in their arm because they falled over on the toilet. All that shit I seen. And a lot of us in our hoods seen that kind of shit coming up as kids in the 70s when, you know, heroin was big in our community in the 70s. Very big in the 70s. Coming up in our hood. I lived in Bridgeport, Connecticut, in the hood. I grew up in the bricks, the tall bricks, 16-story buildings. And they got them higher than that in New York, which is only about 20 minutes away. And I seen this shit, and I just despise it. All my uncles are dead, and they deserve to be fucking dead, as far as I'm concerned. Really. And I love my uncles too. They was a lot of fun, but I knew what they was doing as a kid, but I never talked about it. I just would look and look. I was just a little girl, man, between the age of 10 and 12, watching this shit, man. For real. And so I think that's the most reason why I don't like drug dealers. I think that has a lot to do with why I don't like drugs. And now I like Pookie and Ray Ray. All Pookie and Ray Rays ain't drug dealers. But I knew I never wanted one as a man, as my man. Mm-mm. A lot of women that I know do bids for dudes, man, in prison. That's how low they self-esteem. They're called ride or dies. And they do bids for these dudes. They'll say, oh, they buy drugs just to keep them from having to go do 20-year bids. And when your standards are that low, you're not in love with yourself because you agree to let yourself get a felony because you were in love with somebody, this is the type of shit that we have to fix in our hood. Some people log off and get mad and don't watch this live, but the truth is the fucking truth, man. It is what it is. So if you're afraid to hit the panel, I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna sit here and wait for somebody to brave to hit the panel, because the link is at the top of the I'm gonna pin it to the top. The link is up there. And you know what? I could be real fucked up for having these thoughts or exposing this live or having this live. I'm even willing to take that smoke from you. I mean, you could tell me that I'm out of order for saying this shit. I could take that. I got thick skin. I really do. I'm not going to stand up here and cuss you out and call you bad names. Maybe there is a brighter side to that I don't know about. But listen, I'll play another song for you to come on the panel, and it's okay to be brave and it's okay to speak out. I'm just trying to encourage you. So I'm going to play another song. Let me see. Where is it? And wait for you to come up. I'm wait. Don't be scared. Hit the like button. Hit the link, y'all.
Time's been moving slowly, so we already in too deep. Can't get no sleep on each other, heavy teasing all day, and when the sun sets, you asking me to come through, kick it with you. Night turn to morning dew, then you feel it rushing in, lose control. You don't wanna go slow, for sure. We both already know your place is my place. No, my place is your place. Let's face it, baby. You know all the places. My place is your place. My place. Your place. My place. Just face it. No one knows my places like you do. Your places like I do. My place like you do. Baby, don't stop. Got the key to the lock. We in our own zone. Make yourself at home. Get to know mine on the inside. You need a join next time. And you feel it rushing in. Lose control. You don't wanna go slow, for sure. We both already know your place is my place. Now my place is your place. Let's face it, baby. You know all the places. slowly. So we already in too deep.
I'm waiting for straight smoke because I think he got some smoke. So I'll wait for him to come home. But I put this thumbnail up because, you know, I'm looking at myself. I'm the lady up there with the bonnet on. I mean, I'm not that much of a granny. You know, I'm not even a senior citizen yet. But that's just me. Because I had a granny that was strong. I had a granny that was strong, for real. And I had the granny that said, okay, he want to hit you. Come on over here and get the kids, bring them over here. That's the kind of granny I had. Not that I experienced, violent relationship breakups, but my type of granny, bring him over here. And she be ready for him at the door. He said, I dare him to step to me. And that's just how the woman was in my family, that are in my family, period. And I got, you got Big Mama and you got Big Grandpa that ain't gonna take no nigga shit. Just like you got copper colored ones, you got white ones too that ain't taking shit from their daughter's boyfriend behind abuse and that daddy. I call the white guy, Grandpa, Uncle Bucky from the suburbs, because that's always been my motto when it comes to the hood and the woods meaning the suburbs. Just like you got brown grannies that don't take no shit, you got white ones too that will go to your ass behind their daughter or their son. And I think they have the perfect images. Granny will sit there and she got her gun and her knife or whatever in her pocketbook. And just like the white one, she in the woods, but guess what? That motherfucker in the hoods, she got a fucking Mac 9 and every kind of fucking collection gun that her father left when he died. And she know how to shoot every one of them bitches. And that's a fact. That's a fact. It's this shit is very real. So for every big mama, every brown big mama that don't take no shit over their daughters and their sons and their kids, you got a white mama. You got a European mama that will do the same fucking thing. They'll buck on your ass in a minute. And I'm using street language because I'm speaking to a community, my community, across the 50 states. So when I say the white big mama will buck on your ass with all her guns that her daddy left from World War with this or World War that, you better believe white big mama will buck on your ass over her kids because she know how to shoot every one of them damn guns. She been learning since she was 5 years old. And that's a fact. And then you get down here to Grandpa with Samuel Jackson. You mess with his baby girl, he coming for your ass. He coming for your ass. That's Big Papa in South Carolina, sitting on the porch, waiting for Pookie to bring his ass to the porch for making his baby cry. He ain't playing, and he gonna buck on your ass. He not gonna kill you, but he will shoot you in your damn ankles or your ass. Yes, our Negro grandpa, our American Indian grandpa will pop you in the ass with that sawed-off shotgun on the porch. And guess what? We got white grandpa who won't take no shit for his daughter. Not every person in the mob daddies, mobster daddies ain't the only one that'll kill your ass over their daughter and their kids. No. Irish daddy will pop your ass. When I say pop, I mean they will shoot you in the ass or in the forehead or in the heart or wherever you hurt their daughter at, they're going to get you. I'm talking about the white papa down at the bottom. That motherfucker got every superhero gun from the world wars, all the world wars, in his closet on the wall hanging up. And he got them as souvenirs. And they be fucking snipers anyway. They be in their 70s and their 80s. And you talking about 70-year-old and 80-year-old snipers. They know they military shit. They don't forget. They will snipe your ass coming out of Walmart from somewhere you don't even know where the fuck they at. That's what white papa do to you. He gonna wait. I'm telling you how it goes. You fuck with white papa's baby girl. He gonna dry her tears. And he gonna wait 6 months to where the motherfucker that hurt her. That's how they do it. The motherfucker that hurt his baby girl, he gonna wait 6 months to where you forgot all about it. Okay? And he gonna be in the woods somewhere watching your ass, and he gonna pop your ass. That's how white grandpas do. I'm telling you, I know my shit. I know it. For real. So, like I said, this has no color. Hurt and pain and hurting somebody's grown child. Yeah, with a mama and a daddy, you know your children never are adults. They're always your babies. They're always your babies. And they gonna come get you. They coming for your ass. So that's why I have this thumbnail up. And you look, it ain't just black and white. It's all cultures. You got Asians. You got all cultures that will come for your ass messing with their babies. So that's why I had this up, because a lot of our children born in the 90s are suffering this right now today. And it's been going on for a very long time. And so I'm telling you that if you're in that type of position or in that polygamous relationship, when you've been indoctrinated and you're having feelings now and you're being told that you're going to be cursed, I'm here to tell you, and all four of us up here in this picture is telling you, he's how they say it in the South, he's a dang on stinking lie. They're a lie. And they want you to come home. And that's the attitude that they gonna have when that nigga think he coming back to get you. And I'm telling you what I know, because I would do it for my daughter. You're damn right. I'll lay my life on the ground for my one and only child and my grandsons. Sure will. These little punks born in the 90s and in the 80s and in the late 70s are doing this to women and still do to this day. So them motherfuckers, I can't fuck with them. And I don't care if you don't like it. I don't care. I think what you're doing is wrong. I think the cycle of abuse that you carry on is bad. I think it's very bad. I think having multiple women like that and controlling them through your religious belief, I think it's wrong. And I like to know if you could come up and tell me where it's right and how come it's right that you have all these wives. And seriously, because we can't have a whole bunch of husbands, right? I wouldn't want them anyway. That's just nasty. I think it's all nasty, to be honest. I think it's all nasty. Polygamous relationships is just stuff that I don't believe in. I don't. I have standards, and I feel that I'm beautiful, and I'm beautiful inside and outside, and I don't feel that I should have to share my love with another woman. I should not have to share a man, be in love with a man, but share his love with another woman or multiple women. I think that's wrong. And I think life has much more to offer to you, way much more to offer to you than to feel that you think it's okay to have one man and live and share him with multiple women. I think that's wrong, and I don't think you deserve it. I think it's wrong. But this is my personal opinion, because I could be wrong, and I would love to be corrected. I could tell you I'm not going to say, oh, I stand corrected. I'm not. I just think it's wrong. Just like people have their personal opinions about same-sex relationships. You say same-sex relationships shouldn't exist. You think it's wrong. Well, I think polygamous relationships are wrong because those are heterosexual relationships. I think they're wrong. How about that? It's wrong. It's wrong. I'm sorry. You are wrong. If this is the life that you're living, I think it's wrong. I think you're cheating yourself. I think you're cheating yourself out of love when you're in polygamous relationships. I do. I think you deserve more. I feel you deserve more. And I think your standards are low when you settle for polygamous relationships. I don't believe in it. I really don't. You don't want to share your woman with nobody, right? So why should she have to share you with other women? What makes you feel that you deserve to have multiple wives? What, well, can your wife have multiple husbands? I don't think there's, like I said, I don't think there's any good penis on the planet worth that. There's just not. It's always better penis on the planet. Uh-oh, hang on, y'all. Hey, y'all. I got Ad Powers getting ready to come on the panel and give me his. I might get cussed out. He's gonna give me his opinion on it, and we're gonna talk about it. He's on his way now, and then after I finish here, I'm gonna redirect y'all to his channel. I would really love for Lilia if you could come on the panel, Dave. Somebody hit the panel and give me your opinion. Ab's on his way and Straight Smoke is on his way. But this, like I said, this is my personal opinion. You know, it's my personal opinion. It's what I believe in. I could be wrong. Somebody could come up and say, "Oh no, Miss Lady, I got here comes Straight Smoke. He might put me in my place. I don't know." Hey, Straight Smoke.
Hey, Sister Bethy, how you doing?
I'm good. How about you?
I'm good. Just made it back in from a good day of cooking.
Oh
I,
wow. We'll
I
talk
was
about
listening. I
some
was listening to what you were saying, and I do agree with you. I do, because like I said, I've been married for 17 years, one woman. All of my kids are by one woman. And I see that
Wow.
throughout time, we've always had people make their kids into something they're not, you know, um, or give a lack of, instructional wisdom or any kind of moral character to their kids, and they pretty much allow them to watch movies or music that they shouldn't be watching or listening to at a young age, which perpetuates the cycle of degeneracy. So I was listening to you earlier, and even like with my grandmother and grandfather, when they trekked up here from the South to get away from the South, uh, my grandparents, my grandfather died at 101, and my grandmother died at 96.
Wow.
And you want to hear it's not funny, but she died on Mother's Day.
Oh.
Oh no, it was a good day because her and G-Man was at it. She had a heart attack having sex
At 96.
at 96. They still getting it.
Wow.
Right.
Go ahead, Granny. She went
I'm
to
trying.
heaven with that.
She went to heaven with that smile on her face.
Oh, Betty, I agree. You're right, Betty. TV. You can hit the link and come and speak about that. There are a lot of women that like to share a man. I know that. And you're absolutely right. But my thing, I just would like to get in their head and to see why they don't mind sharing a man. It's something that I just couldn't drive myself to do. Um,
Wouldn't you say that's a lack of responsibility or confidence?
that's what I'm saying. I feel that it's standards that you just should set standards. And I know I'm accustomed to living a heterosexual lifestyle. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't downgrade anybody that's same sex. This has nothing to do with same sex LGBT community. Nothing. We're talking about polygamous relationships. I just I, I know I don't even call myself in the culture. Um I don't um I just feel that being in polygamous relationships is that you have low standards. I mean, why would so many women want to be in a relationship with one man living in one house? I just think it's the most uncomfortable position to be in as a woman, period. And you get women that make so many that make so many justifications for being in a polygamous relationship. But in my personal opinion, the justifications that they put forth are so low, and it makes
Mm-hmm.
no sense. The standards, I to hear a woman say my ex-wife, and my ex, whatever they call them, I forget the name they call them when you're in a polygamous relationship and there's 3 women in the house. What do they call ex-wives? I forget. I don't know. I don't know what terminology they use. They're all wives to one man. So it's just, I think it's lowering your standards. Hey, Big Ab, what do you think?
I believe it's a mixed opinion on a
Yeah.
lot of traditional people are going to go up in a traditional household, single mom, single parent, male and female in the household, raising what we call a two-parent household. Uh, but I do understand the concept of polygamy or the monogamy conversation. So most of it is for survival rates. Most of it is to maintain the upkeep of certain generations to come in. Uh, and it can also be for economic reasons. But you never know. I believe it's good attributes for different people for different situations. So it goes back to that old expression: different strokes for different folks.
So, do you? So all right. So Ab, if it's, let's say it's for economic reasons, that means that there's no love, that you're not in love with the person because you're only there for economic reasons, not love.
Well, that's subjective, because then we have to get into what love is. Have you seen it? Can it be contained? What is the measurement of it? And so these names get prescribed from the conversation. uh Emotions are going to be attached whether it's business or not, you know.
Well, we do know
So
that. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Al.
now go ahead.
I was going to say we do know that this is a Greek word. This is these people. That's that culture. Polygamy is their culture, and they did it just to sustain their um what do you want to call it, like their lineage, their bloodlines type deal. Because a
Yeah,
lot of these,
a lot of these words are European words, but we know according to science that these people hadn't been around this planet that long, and we know that our people have been around almost 10 times the length of these people. So you got to expect that certain living situations that already occurred multiple times in different fashions, uh, well before these people came about. So the term is just only for us to use as an indicating marker. You see what I'm saying?
yeah.
I'm hearing that Aboriginals practice that lifestyle of having multiple wives.
Well, some people did. Some Aboriginal cultures did. Not every Aboriginal culture are in fact the same. As a matter of fact, some of them differed. Some of them had conflict based off of their cultural differences.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah.
So our people did. Is it fair to say that our people did practice that type of life, being Aboriginals to America?
Yeah, well, the better question is, our people practice that, and the way we practice, some people practice now, just a man and woman parent household, two parent household. They also practice that way too when we say our people. So depending on what culture you descend from, or that you're still practicing upkeep, is whether or not what you're going to upkeep.
So
Well,
it's safe to say that um during the courtship back in those days, they would give the best of the boys and the girls. And this might be what, 3, 4, 5 different families all together. You see, does that make sense?
Right, right. There's various different situations that's like that. Now, some of it is willingly, some of it is due to illnesses, some of it is due to simple amnesia. But multiple family, multiple wives has something that has always occurred amongst the peoples in America, and I'm gonna say around the world. Now, was it always accepted amongst most cultures? No, it wasn't. But it was accepted amongst some. So I guess you could say it's an Aboriginal practice as well.
I see today that it's a lot of people from your generation that is heavily practicing that like crazy
Right.
across our states.
Right.
What
You're right.
triggered that?
You're right. And a lot of our people are doing a lot of things that maybe our generations that came right before us didn't practice, but maybe generations that came well before them did practice. So it's almost like we're repeating back to maybe a particular process, uh, if you will.
So that was safe to say that would go back to the bloodlines. It's passed down, what's the word I'm looking for? Subconsciously.
Yeah. Transgenerational,
Right.
however you want to say it. Yeah.
Well, people in this era, don't forget, that are practicing it are not aware that they're aboriginals, but they just automatically like it. And I, for the life of me, see it as a lowering of standard or just misguidance. But a lot of women in your era and men, Ab, are just doing it. A lot of men in your era are able to get women to
Well,
agree to
it's
it.
almost like a duality thing. It's almost like a balance, you know. Um, for a man to have multiple wives, it almost be like, oh, the man getting on with the situation, and these are lower standards for the women. But in retrospect, the women are pretty much in control how that particular relationship operates. The women are in full control. The man really doesn't have much say so into how that operates in a polygamous relationship.
Basically,
Really?
Yeah,
basically he's like the security. He's like the
he's just like the little guy on the team that
pretty
the women
much
run the show. So it's
when
actually a matriarchal based
system. Yeah,
system.
Wow, well,
yeah.
that's an eye opener.
Because his first wife controls all other wives underneath her.
And this is like I said, a lot of cultures did this strictly for when they go into war and now they're resided, now they're trying to regain. So this is a form of rebirthing and renation, giving multiple people, to have multiple wives, give multiple option to give multiple lives into this world. And if you're trying to repopulate this particular area, then that's what will be the best strategy for repopulation, regrowth of a nation. Uh, your odds are just
Wow.
higher. You know what I'm saying? If you're trying to repopulate and you got one wife, you can probably do a good job repopulating, but the odds go a little higher when you have multiple wives. You know what I'm saying? That's just sheer numbers.
Wow.
Right. That's if you're looking at it from the whole birthing process. I mean,
Right. Now,
how many times can a woman have a kid? That's astronomical. No one knows that answer. But having multiple women, that gives you a far greater leverage to keeping your family name, I should say, your family name stronger.
right. Averagely, a woman can maybe have one, possibly two children, or get pregnant twice in a year. Right. Possibly two times. Could get pregnant twice in 1 year. Uh, but theoretically, a woman naturally get pregnant once a year, right?
Hmm.
Uh, a man can go out and get multiple women impregnated in that 1 year. He can do 365 women impregnated in 1 year. You see what I'm saying? Uh, so it does show a hierarchy there too, but it's a balance, you know.
And I'll go
Wow.
back to that. I'll go back to it. That first wife is the leader of any subordinate wives he has.
Absolutely.
So the other woman coming in don't mind lowering in their standards to be
Well,
second.
it's not like they lowering their standards. They got to be on the communication page with who's already running the house. So as you come
Right.
into this, uh, this is like a business plan. It's like a contract. You see what I'm saying?
Know your
Most
role.
people, most people know the contract. You know your position, and they get
So
cool. You know.
is that the case with today the way it's done?
Well, I believe it's various different situations going on. We got a freaky generation nowadays. This might be a polygamy family, and it might be a straight dude that's with a bull dagger girl that's with a
Mm.
tranny dude. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of weird things going on, and so that's the dynamic that's going. And who knows? I don't know what's going on today. It hit different. I don't know what's going on.
I would have to say throughout the you know the education system, media, the influence that these people have, it's like a mind control. I don't understand it at times. How do you allow yourself mentally to get subjected and poisoned to believing that this is the way to go?
Uh, I think that's just a bit too much for me because it's like it's just that lifestyle just popped up in the 90s from out of nowhere.
Oh, it's been around.
But we didn't see that in our communities.
Yeah, we didn't see that other side of that community either, because that was kept under wraps too. You know, everything is, to me, it seems like everything is sped up so much quicker in the last 20 years that it's showing you that people are really still in this hypnotic state.
Yeah, and does nations throughout the world and in America where in these particular nations and clans and tribes, there's more men than it is women. So by virtue, the women have multiple husbands. And that child has multiple fathers. When she gives birth, it don't belong just to one husband. It belongs to all of them. And so there's different dynamics to how this thing works.
Whoa. I mean, it's just like it's such a quick change because when I was little or when I was a young woman in the 90s, raising these 90s babies, if you mess with somebody, man, those you fighting. I come from the era like, if you mess with my man, I'm gonna fight. We gonna fight.
Mm-hmm.
But today, literally, if I see you messing with my man and you know I'm with him, we gonna fight because you being disrespectful.
But the era before you wasn't like that, Sister Bethy. If you look,
yes,
if you
it was.
Look, pay attention,
The boomer era was notorious. The boomer era was worse than my era.
Yeah, you get clapped out on that. You get clapped out. You gonna get clapped out back then. There's too many places to put somebody. Yeah, it's too many places to put people. I'm telling you.
X generation, we fought like dudes. If you mess with our man in the club in the 90s, all we did was fight in the clubs in the 90s. Us women, it was more women fights in the club than it was men.
Yeah, but the generation before you didn't do that fighting and like that.
In the boomer generation, they were worse.
They were worse
because in the boomer generation, they were very that's the indoctrinated generation, even more so than this generation today.
Maybe
messing around. They still had like the house morals. You don't mess with nobody husband. God ain't promised you nobody husband.
That was the free spirit generation. The generation came before you, like how you grew up in the 90s fighting in the clubs. They grew up in the 70s. So they was introduced to a lot of different things that the government was pushing out. Not only MK Ultra mind control development projects was happening throughout all the Negro communities, especially in LA. Also, the experimental drugs was being influenced in our community. Heroin, marijuana, PCP, LSD, all introduced in the 70s, which gave birth to the Woodstock, the hippie age. This was the age that they was cool. Everybody was chilling. People was screwing. It was a free life, peace type of free spirit thing going on. It really wasn't a fighting over your man. I know situations where people who grew up in the 70s, hell, that's the generation where these men had multiple sneaky wives and families all throughout the goddamn United States. It's that particular generation.
You think so? In the 70s?
Absolutely. They gave birth to you. That's why they call them the baby boomers. They had babies all out throughout the United States doing this, giving birth to y'all guys.
During the 70s, that was called make love, not war.
Yeah, to make love. So the next generation would be the baby boomers, which would be the 90s, that the people who grew up in the 90s. We talk about people that grew up in the 70s.
Okay.
Not born in the 70s.
I was a little girl in the 70s.
Yes,
right?
I know. So we're not talking about people that was born in the 70s, people that was grown already active in the 70s. Just like we're not talking about people that was born in the 90s. I was born in the 90s, but I wasn't grown in the 90s. You was. You see what I'm saying? So we're talking about a whole different fashion of generation that gave birth to another generation. You see what I'm saying?
You're talking about Ali Bamu's generation. Because Ali Bamu,
your mother's generation is who I'm talking about.
My mother's generation was born.
My grandmama's generation, yeah.
Really? You think that's the...
Wow. It's the 70s.
I gotta say, that's got to do.
I mean, I knew my mom hung in the club in the 70s,
There
That's
was
the
a lot
most
of
chill time after that. Now, after that is when it started getting, you
The
know,
80s.
start getting a little rocky. We started feeling the detrimentals of these drugs. See, when the drugs first got implemented in the 70s, we didn't know the casualties that it would have. By the 80s and the 90s came, we started to see the casualties of it.
wow.
Definitely in the 80s.
I never thought of it that way. Now I know that dope and heroin was big in the 70s because my aunts and uncles, all of them were heroin addicts, and my uncles would pimp their baby mamas to get that dope.
Get a fix.
But they were in agreement to it because they were hooked on it too. So but still, I didn't see the polygamy in that era.
And I want to go back to say that during that time, in actuality, that was still a mental state. Not everybody was doing that.
Right. No.
You understand what I mean?
I didn't even think it existed like in our community in the 70s, in the 60s.
What didn't?
Polygamy in the 70s and the 60s.
Well, I'm not gonna say it was polygamy, but theoretically, polygamy is having multiple wives. These niggas was having multiple wives.
That's what the show is about.
I know. I'm saying in the 70s they probably didn't have the name that we call it today, but they had multiple wives. You see what I'm saying? They was going out having multiple relationships. Yeah.
Yeah, they were.
Papa was a Rolling Stone. Wherever he laid his hat was his home. Nigga, yeah, he was out.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because in the early 70s, I do have to say, and the late 60s, a lot of men began leaving their homes and the household had become single parents. So you're right. Because it started in the 60s, the late 60s, when Black men began leaving their wives, leaving their families, and going to other families.
So guess you said the late 60s.
Yeah.
Right. 1968.
Yeah, and the state wouldn't allow them to live in a family home because they weren't working. So yes.
Yeah, that's when they started the Civil Rights Act. That's when they came out with HUD Indian housing. That's when they came out with the Social Security system that we're now tittied and anchored on today, most of our people. In order to get those particular benefits, the man had to be removed from the household, or you don't qualify for those benefits, correct? So this almost kind of forced the man out in order, to get their economic gain. Most men was getting took out doing them particular areas, due to war, doing they was going off to the war, coming back on drugs. You know the situation during the 60s. That was happening. Most of them people was coming back from the Vietnam, Korean Wars, things like that.
But they were also not taking care of their families. They stopped working in the
like I said, war fucked a lot of these people up. And while they was in war in Vietnam, Korea, they're exposed to these Korean drugs. Remember, this is in the 60s. They're over there in Vietnam. They're getting raw heroin. The government started transporting that in the 70s. They was getting it raw. They got addicted before addicted was even a word for heroin. You understand what I'm saying? So they came back affected. Our people was affected. And not only that, they wasn't getting the care like most veterans get today. Usually our veterans get all this benefits and shit. That wasn't a thing in the 60s and the 70s. That was not a thing at all. So
I do have to say, during those wars, the Vietnam and Korean War and whatnot, they actively gave soldiers LSD and heroin and cocaine.
Did they know they were getting it?
And they wanted it. They didn't know it was going to be like I said, you got to realize, they're just like people that started doing these Percocets, right? Oh, man, ain't no big deal drinking the lean. Ain't no big deal. Look at the side effect. These people sick, people ODing, dying all around the country, become a whole epidemic. They didn't understand when you first start doing it in the early 2000s, it was a cool thing. By the time the 2023 come, we understand that this is detrimental to our community. It's killing us. You understand? So in the earlier times, they didn't understand the effects that it was going to have.
But what about, okay, you threw me
when you said the Vietnam War. Why did they give that to our soldiers? Why?
Well, you got to think about it. A lot of our soldiers was doing covert missions. We thought it was just a war between some military groups. They was going over there to confiscate drugs so they can get a capitalism on that. And so what they did was they knew that this particular drug was money. Obviously, they watching how the Koreans and the Vietnamese is using it, and I believe that they fell victim to start using it too. It made them not feel pain when they shooting out in the middle of war. You know what I'm saying? It is used as an opiate today. They give it to you when you get your damn leg blew off. You're getting a Percocet. You're getting some Dilaudid, some morphine, something with some opioids in it. That's what they're getting. Pure opium, heroin. Yep. You see what I'm saying?
Same thing they did in the Iraq War. Same thing.
Yeah, same thing. Every war, they're going there for drugs. Think about it. We can go all the way back to the earliest wars, and we can go back to the time where it was no drugs. After them wars, drugs came in every time.
So you're saying that the Vietnam War was about going to get drugs, or was it?
Yes. Well, that was part of it. It wasn't just about. I'm not going to say it's just about it, but that was part of it. You know,
we were sent over there on a false pretense.
Yeah, that's why you had a lot of people protesting about them North Korean, Vietnamese wars. Niggas were like, man, listen, I play a video right now from some black brothers talking about, man, listen, the Rockefeller and the Carnegies, man, this is their world. This is their war. Got us over here fighting these peoples, man. They don't know nothing about no nigga. They learned this through y'all. So he's telling them how they been corrupted within the army. And now that they come back, they not even getting treated like how they supposed to after defending and being on this dummy mission. You know what I'm saying? So, you know.
Okay, so that it is true what they said. I do remember a lot of Negro veterans coming home from Nam saying that they put up signs and said, black man, this is not your war. Go back home. It's nothing to do with you.
Exactly. Yeah. If you look at like the Ford Foundation and the Carnegie Endowment, those people actually funded Hitler. All these wars have been funded.
Yeah. See, the Nation of Islam, the early Nation of Islam knew the cause of it. They tried to send Muhammad Ali over there to that same war. He said, I ain't going over there.
I remember they
so that's all around that same time frame where people was taking a stance on going over there, fuck with them Chinese people. Even though we were showing respect to the Asian community after so long, we didn't want to go to war with them. Even though they might look at it differently, they still don't reciprocate that same love toward us. Over here right now, Asians is the ones that probably dislike us the most. We showed them the most gratitude.
And is that the war when they caught the Agent Orange, right? Because my uncle came home with that.
Yeah, the Korean War, Agent Orange was dropped. Vietnam War, I believe, where it was first dropped. My granddaddy caught Agent Orange as well, which I was going to do a whole build on my granddaddy. He's a very interesting guy. Very, very, very interesting guy. Yeah.
What time you going live at? 4?
Yeah, I'm about to go live whenever we wrap it up here, man. We building though.
I know. You shocking me because I did not know what you just said, and I'm older than you. I'm the generation before you.
Well, that goes back to the Gulf of Tonkin as well, Sister Bethy.
Well, you know, I like to understand where I come from in our situations, the cultural aspects, the divides, the downs, the goods, you know, the inserts, what was taken away. And so, you know, I've always looked at some of our history. Plus, I was raised with my grandma. You know what I'm saying? My grandma is that generation that came before you. So I kind of heard the stories firsthand. You know what I'm saying? So.
Same way with me, with my grandfather.
So I just basically wanted to had this bill to give people in those relationships some hope and some motivation, because I you know, we're all entitled to our own opinions, but I just see it as a lowering of standards. So, but I could be wrong, you know. P West, you got the mic, and I want to run it over the Abs channel.
Yeah, no problem. I just wanted to add on to what y'all was saying recently with the war stuff, I was just gonna say like every major war is just the result of one entity wanting to ransack another entity for some type of resource, whether it's money, whether it's oil, whether it's
drugs, whatever.
Drugs, like you said, yeah. So that the Vietnam just happened to be drugs. You know, 9/11 was over oil. And all major wars are funded by the same people, both sides. That's why they be all cool after the fact. Like it's all a game. The world is a stage. Like they be playing games.
Right, and funding both sides of a war as a tactic to fill your pockets and destroy both sides economically was a strategy that comes directly from the early Rockefellers, and
that's what we funding all this stuff still. Right, exactly.
Benjamins. They was funding the Civil War. They was funding the Confederates and the Unions, and then stepping back, watching them destroy shit, fuck up whole cities. Come in right afterwards, buy the whole city up and rebuild it like they founded it all.
It's the same thing, but now they a little more covert with it. Now they got harp, so now they can play with the weather and act like it's a natural thing instead of making war every time.
You know why they created harp? Because that's how they got on the first time, going back to the 1600s, right? Going back to the 1811 Madrid earthquake. They understood that these cataclysms affected the people in the area, which forced them to move, which get the land for cheap. So they understood that later on, skip far forward to 2018, 2019, 2023, they creating weathers, fucking up land, quote unquote Maui, right? Now Maui ain't worth a damn. Now they're gonna go buy it up for cheap, rebuild it up, it'll be worth 3 times as much it was in the past.
So all right, you're saying that you're saying that they can so then if they can mess with the weather, then how is there a God?
But they're using the natural properties that are here and manipulating them. That's how they do it. The same way God created people, but we have sex to create more people. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just because you got the ability to manipulate something, don't mean that what the ultimate, the true entity of the source of power isn't what it is. Like electricity is fake sunlight, isn't it? Isn't electricity fake sunlight?
Is electricity fake sunlight?
Like as far as the light bulb, so not electricity itself. I mean, using a light bulb is replacing
electricity is generated. You can't create it, right? So it's already around. And
I'm just saying bulbs are electric. I didn't even mean to say electricity because you're right about that. I meant like light bulbs in particular are meant for when you lose sunlight outside. You use light bulbs in your house. It's artificial light is what I'm saying. Basically,
it's an artificial light. Yes, a synthetic.
Made from a natural, which is electricity, right?
Right. It's not like thermal lighting, right? Like fire, sun, and shit like that.
Right. So I was saying, but they use electricity to mimic. To use that to mimic what they're really trying to,
Absolutely.
So they could do that with the weather as well. That's what I was saying.
Absolutely. Yeah, they manipulating weather. They manipulating fruit. As a matter of fact, they're taking now human cells from aborted babies and now growing meat off of them, creating steak.
And aborted cells, they've been in the sodas, they've been in the Gatorades, they've been in all that stuff. That's why
they're in your vaccines. They was in your early chickenpox.
Oh, be careful.
Vaccines.
The B word.
I'm not gonna cut it off right there. I'm gonna cut it off right there. Boom. We're done with that talk. Boom.
All right.
Yeah.
So as far as like them messing with the atmosphere itself, those are called aerosol injections. If you see in the sky, when you wake up in the morning and you see your sky look like a checkerboard,
that's chemtrails.
Them are not chemtrails. I'm sorry, no.
Are they not?
No, that is aerosol injected.
Aerosol injections. All right. Is that what they use in this alloyed silver, some type of silver in the atmosphere? I've seen a couple of breakdowns on that.
So what they did is that they're always going to use the global warming thing. You already know about that. So the whole thing about it is reducing the sun's sun rays to the earth. So in order to do that, they have to use these aerosol injections, which you will see in your sky. They look like a jet stream, or what did you call them?
Checkerboard.
But in actuality, see, if it's a chemtrail off of a jet, it dissipates instantly behind a jet. These do not dissipate. That lets you know this is a modification to the atmosphere.
Yeah. They call them chemtrails, but they really not chemtrails, right?
No, they're not.
So is this the stuff that's harming us, or
Well,
I mean,
allegedly, some people say it's harming you. Man, listen, there's so much shit that happened in this year, 2023. It's really unreal. I mean, mass shootings, billions of mosquitoes dumped off in the DMV area.
Hey,
There's so much shit that's going on in 2023 upon our people. It's really wild.
do you think that someone dropped off a biochemical weapon in our country?
Yeah,
And
they did it in mosquito with mosquitoes that was
they did it
affected
in
with
two
Ebola.
states in there. What was that? Texas
I
and
mean,
Florida got dropped
I
off with the
mean,
mosquitoes.
when we went in, and when they shut the country down, when they shut us down
I believe
for
when they shut the country down. To be honest, I believe, and this is a whole nother conspiracy. This is my conspiracy theory. I believe that they was just realizing that we had been merged into two different timelines from what happened in 2012, dealing with the particle accelerator. But that's a whole nother note, though. I really, yeah. I believe
You
they
getting
figured out
concerned
we're
now.
in two different timelines, two different paradigm shifts that merged into one. Dimensions merged into one. Yes.
You talking
I
about
believe,
when they turned on CERN's particle accelerator, correct?
absolutely, yes.
Okay, yeah, I'm
That
following
happened in
you now.
2012. That was around the whole Big Bang. That was around the eclipse time. That was all around that time.
okay, so I guess my question is, during the when we had to start wearing masks, I'm not going to say what the name is because I don't want to say it. When
Yeah, the
we had to wear
pandemic.
the mask, okay, when that came, do you think that another country dropped a biochemical weapon in our country at that time and we had to stay in the house and put masks on? Or do you think that happened?
Yeah, I believe something really happened. As a matter of fact, I don't believe no country did it. I believe that the CDC and our government, these shadow governments, went to Wuhan. There's something that's been going on that accidentally broke out in that country in the 1990s. You go back to the 90s, you see the Chinese people wearing them same masks that we was wearing in 2019, 2020 for the same reasons. I believe they went and bought that particular disease, qualified the patent for it, and then distributed it out. It happens every 100 years. You look at 2019, you got the pandemic that we had. You go back to 1919, there's another pandemic. You go back to 1819, there's another pandemic. You go back to 1719, there's another pandemic. You catch my drift?
Yeah.
So if I could interject on that, so in North Carolina, Chapel Hill, we have a bioengineering lab. Okay. During the Obama presidency, they knew that they were doing gain of function research, so they sent that off to Wuhan for further research. Okay, what happened then is that by the U.S. saying that we can't do that on American soil, they shipped it off to China. China then went and did their own things. This is in cohesion. Now, this is a world government thing. These are all the governments working together on one thing. Okay, so what had happened was, since they did that, China has the biggest population density on the face of the planet. Okay, so they have a reason to. At one point, they was only allowing their women to have one kid.
Right, I do know that.
So with them doing that, they had a way to weed out their population. They seen that it worked there, and mind you, this is in the 90s. Okay. So they did their population depopulation program. Everybody else seen how good it worked. Did you think they don't want a piece of that pie?
Wow. Okay.
So the biological drop was
there's books from people that was whistleblowers from the early 80s that wrote a book about this same pandemic that happened in 2019. They wrote books on it in the 90s calling it the same thing that they called it, happening at the same area where they said it was first going to be found, and the same date that the same year that they said it was going to be found in a book. It's in a book. It came out almost 20, 30 years before then.
So you don't think the United States would inform us that we've been attacked in that manner?
No, I don't believe that they would, based off of what they say. Fear to the public and all this shit will create mayhem. Same reason they don't tell you about a lot of shit. The reason shit is classified is because of those reasons, which is almost a slick barrier. Which, no, they wouldn't enlighten us. No, if the damn moon was planning on destroying Earth in the next 385 days, they wouldn't tell us at all.
So you don't. All right. So
it'll be a whistleblower. It'll be a whistleblower, somebody from higher up in the military or in some political field that will break the silence that would tell us. It wouldn't be the government actually having an announcement that would tell us. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, okay. I don't want to keep holding your show up, but my last question is, and I'm gonna redirect everybody to your channel. Do you think that since U.S. sent airstrikes, which I'm sure you heard, do you think that they'll strike at us now?
I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, anything can happen. Obviously, Palestine with such low economic input and such low technological advances, they was willing to attack Israel, which has way more economic advancements, larger military, and they was willing to stand up on what they stand for. Who knows what might happen? I believe they do have allies. So we'll just see what goes on. It's just like any other fight. It's a one-on-one fight, but they got homies standing around. If one homie jump in, they all the homie gonna jump in, and then it becomes a full brawl, or what American call a world war at that particular point. You feel me?
Yeah, I say that because I know that. Oh, I'm sorry, Smoke. I'm gonna land it. I say that because I know a lot of Pakistanians work in and run a lot of our gas stations here in 7-Eleven gas stations and gas stations, period. And I just get like real nervous sometimes because you never know when they're going to do something.
We don't know what's going on now because we got so many foreigners coming around here. We could have sleeper cells around us. That's been coming here since the 80s. That's just
what sleeper cells is. Does it look
Go ahead
like
and explain what I know Smoke knows what it is. I'm gonna allow Smoke to do that.
And can you show us what it is? A picture of it, or I'm
okay. So what Big Ab is pointing to is that we already have these people here. They've been here for a long time, and what they're waiting back is for a message. Don't you remember when they put out the World Day of Jihad and all that? Nothing happened. Thank God nothing happened. But look at how they influxed the population from all these other countries into the United States. So now you might have a serious problem in your neck of the woods because you don't know who these people are. Who is that? Unit 910? They're here. They've been here for a long time.
And they take orders from their country and they will do it in the name of Allah.
Yep.
I got you, OG cuz, OG Green Machine. I got you, cuz. I got you.
Okay. I don't want to hold up Ab.
So yeah, listen, sleeper cells are like spies in a way. Super cells, I mean sleeper spies with military attributes, and at any given time they can be activated to go on a mission to covertly, and they could be in a political field. They could be in our military right now because our military do allow naturalized or nationalized people into our military.
Yep.
That's
how we have, but that's how we have people when we go to other countries, and we like take Iraq for instance. We had so many people over there in that country working for us, and we brought them people out of there and brought them back here.
Oh my goodness! And
so this is all a snowball effect between governments. They're working hand in hand. I mean, that's what they're showing you.
So do you think that United States would fund a government to come over here, a government's people, and bring them over here? You think the United States would fund them to harm people here if they just want population control?
You've seen that already with 9/11.
But that didn't, 9/11, it destroyed the buildings. I mean, it wasn't, I don't even believe that there were a lot of people in that building. Maybe I could be ignorant
Not
to
the
it.
not the building, the planes that got taken over.
What'd you say?
9/11 was an inside job.
Yeah, like an inside job. Think of
So
like
you,
a James Bond, a 007, or
so
Mission
so
Impossible,
you
or
do
something
you
like
do
that.
know that you do know what's his name? Um Osama bin Laden. He sat on the board of Iridium Satellite. His family built all the military bases over in Iran and Iraq. He was a CIA proxy for over 22 years.
Yeah, he was in good business with the CIA. As a matter
CIA.
of fact, the Bin Laden family owned a chain link of chicken businesses in New York.
Yep. That's what I'm trying to tell you, Sister Bethy. They've been funding
They
this
changed
stuff
their
for a long
name after
time.
that 9/11. They changed their name, but they still have those chicken businesses there today.
Oh, it better not be the chicken I think it is.
Man, go get that
But
Bin Laden Osama special. Goddamn.
That Bin Laden special.
It costs $9.11. I was just bullshitting. That's some. That was fucked up.
But
all
real,
right, Ab.
yeah.
Oh, go ahead. I wanted to stay on y'all, but Ab going live and he's getting ready to get into Dwight Howard's response to Flat TV and NBA about sexual allegations. That's what Ab's topic is today. I hate to stop the show, but I said that I would transfer everybody over there. You ready, Ab? Ab. Ab Power.
Yeah, you can have it.
You ready to go? You
my door.
You ready to go live? Because I don't want to.
Yeah, I'm about to go live now. Come on, let's get it. I'm hitting the button now.
All right, y'all. I'm sending y'all over there. I'll be over there too. Me and Smoke, you can stay on here real quick, Smoke.
All right.
I'm sending everybody over. Okay. Oh, I gotta end the show. Damn. All right. Love y'all. Y'all going over there now.